James Baldwin, born August 2nd, 1924, and returned to the Essence December 1st, 1987. He was an American novelist, playwright, and activist. Baldwin's writing career began in the last years of legislative segregation. His fame as a social observer grew in tandem with the civil rights movement as he mirrored blacks' aspirations, disappointments, and coping strategies in a hostile society. Many of his books, essays, and interviews were passed over by literacy critics of the time because they openly discussed homosexuality and homophobia with passion and fierce emotion. The term Baldwinesque was coined after him, referring to his shockingly articulate and flamboyant personality. Did you know that? Well, now you do. Peace.
Get right in. All right, peace everybody. Welcome back to another episode of My Quality is for Real. Here I have real talks with quality people who have quality, real purpose. And today, Dr. Enqi is definitely not a stranger to the show. This is actually his second time coming on. Shouts out to brother Jonathan Bourne for, setting this up, reaching out and setting this up. So the people that don't know you or who did not catch the first episode, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself and kind of tell a little bit about yourself.
My name is Dr. Enqi, like the black ghost on Pac-Man, or like a tattoo artist, Enqi. I'm ones by myself. Their mom is a poster child for Kevin Samuels. I'm a electromagnetic tissue specialist. I have been specializing in metabolic syndrome and diabetes, and over a 10-year course, I did about 9 years. I did a series of fasts that allowed me to examine some of the core principles of metabolism and ATP production and their relevance to our body's pigment system, and get a deeper dive into why it is that brown, black, and some groups of Spanish people have a 200% increased risk factor for diabetes and all of the associated manifestations. Yeah, and so we've been able to collate that information and create a very dynamic, new, revolutionary understanding of what diabetes is and how to wipe it off the face of this earth. And so, yeah, it's been a rough ride. I've had the people that I thought would be highly supportive turn out to be very unsupportive, to say the least. Some outright thieves, trying to suppress my image and likeness so that they can pass off my research as their own. Outside of that, we've been having some great success, and we've been able to change a lot of lives. I mean, over the 10 years, we've had maybe we've had over 100,000 people do the fast. Our first philanthropic effort in terms of information was a book that I wrote called The Soul Craft Scroll. We gave it away, hence philanthropic, but that's out there circulating, over 500,000 copies. And yeah, so if people are interested in that book, you can email us at melaninversusdiabetes@gmail.com for a free copy of that book. Part 2 to the book, I'm going to release at this year's summit. That is going to be July 10th in New York, Peekskill, New York. That's going to be amazing. I definitely want to shout out my promotional sponsors, DrEnqi.com, Urban Nerds Foundation, Mr. G Photos, Flytrap Gumbo, Smart Hip Hop, Fit for Life Personal Training, Child Support is Fraud, Lunchtime with Anna, The Urban Conservatives, MDR Inc., PK Blends, Do the Knowledge Radio, the Mind Plug Academy, and of course, I'm excited to announce that Victor Bowman is one of our promotional sponsors. And yeah, so we got a nice cast of promotional sponsors. We're working on getting some financial, some financial sponsors. And yeah, we doing the thing. I think this is going to be powerful. We got a lot of, it's a unique event for a variety of reasons. We got, it's an initiative-driven event. It's not a lecture and sell products thing. A lot of us have gotten used to that over the years, and unfortunately, we've been used to those things going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of us have participated over the last 10, 20 years in lots of events where we go hear lectures and buy t-shirts and products, and community-wise, nothing happens outside of those events, outside of just the exchange of commerce, and you get to see a couple folks you ain't seen in a while. But we don't have buildings going up. We don't have schools opening. We don't have clinics opening. We don't have nationwide initiatives. So that's what this event is. We have a couple of initiatives on the table. One is a naturopathic medical facility. We're looking to push some legislation maybe to open up the ability for naturopaths and holistic healers maybe to be able to, use insurance. So that would change the dynamic and maybe take some of the stress off of our, our system, which has kind of been plagued with, a nurse and doctor shortage since way before the pandemic started, unbeknownst to most people. The cost of healthcare, the drugs, that is a dark spot on our economy. So we want to just help those things, and we feel like we can provide a boost for our healthcare. Even in terms of making sure that nurses and doctors aren't overworked, so that the patients they do see get a higher, a better experience, get a better experience. And then pre-hospital and post-hospital, we want to be able to help people with, their lifestyle changes and adapting to the new world that we're in. So there's a lot of different things that, we have on the table to make some serious changes. And then on a surface level, just being able to provide an example that, we can do large scale events without necessarily somebody on stage twerking or, mentioning a gun or kilogram of cocaine every 10 words, so that's also a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like we haven't proven that we can do that, you know what I'm saying? So that's another thing that we need to do.
Okay. One of the things I did see recently that started May 21st, you have a 6-week diabetes clinic that's on your Patreon. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that and what that is and how people can join that or how they can, interact with that?
Yeah. Okay. So, well, it's more than just the the Saturday classes, right? So those are just the Saturday classes, but my 10, I would say, well, I would say probably about 15 years, close to 15-year catalog of videos and articles, all are being placed on my Patreon. Hold on one second.
All right, y'all, I'm just gonna take a quick pause. All right, there we go.
So yeah, so my catalog is being uploaded there. But I released the article that changed the world literally in February. Since then, I have been, I'm not going to say, well, yeah, it might as well. I've been testing certain things that I discovered and just going through the information on myself. And I saw some scary changes, like my body just started like getting more muscular and losing fat, like I'm losing weight, but I'm getting more muscular at the same time. And the crazy thing is, I wasn't doing any exercises. You know, I would do like little 30-second or 60-second things to kind of just make sure my blood was flowing, but you know, I wasn't doing any exercise. Like I have a gym. I've owned full gyms and you know, I've been a personal trainer for many years. And so like, you know, it was totally different in terms of this go round, you know what I'm saying? So that I was like, okay, this is insane. And so learning that the body has specific types of modes of operation in terms of you know, the greater majority of fat storing, sugar storing hormones, as opposed to muscle building, and being able to activate those things without you know, tubs of protein powders and gym memberships and all this kind of stuff. You know, that was like a crazy thing. So I wanted to be able to share that with people going into the summit. So we have the classes on Saturday, and then also this week coming up, June, we're starting a 40-day fast. And this 40-day fast is going to be unique. It's not going to be so much about the food, or even any herbs or anything like that. It's just going to be 4 key principles that we're going to incorporate into our daily routine. And I want everybody to experience the magic of just incorporating these 4 key principles into their daily routine and see how profound the results can be. You know what I'm saying? So that's starting, I guess, in a couple of days, you know what I'm saying? And you know, I think that's going to be really transformative for a lot of different people, just to be able to see how, like, you can, you know, this is not, you know, it's not drug induced, it's not herb induced, this is just you just incorporating a few key principles, like I said, and then you know, being able to change a great deal in terms of risk factors, health factors, inflammatory, you know, inflammatory numbers, you know, C-reactive protein levels and cortisol levels, and just all the way across the board. It's going to be a transformative process for everybody that participates. So people can go to patreon.com. You know, not only is my 15 years worth of content there, the live classes and all of this other stuff there, but I work with the people one-on-one every day. You know what I'm saying? Whether that's me reminding you to get up and exercise, or, personal consultations, so right now I'm doing like unlimited consultations via my Patreon. So everybody that joins there has unlimited access to me to walk them through whatever they're going through personally, as well as what we're doing as a group, which I think increases the connectivity and increases the success rate for anybody trying to make certain types of changes.
That is important. A lot of people, I know, like with me experiencing like this little cold or something like that, I'm talking to my mom and she was like, well, yeah, you need to take some medicine. And I'm like, now you don't have to run to medicine for everything. What were they doing before they had medicine? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of our people who are really stuck in that, and they don't want to do anything natural. They don't want to, even admit that that's what's causing the diabetes and the sickness and everything like that. So I think what you're doing is really wonderful. I think it is definitely needed. I would definitely love to, join to be a part of that as well. I would love those 4 principles to see exactly what that is, and maybe I can share those. That's what this platform is for, to be able to help and to share. So thank you for that. You're definitely doing the work, and we're definitely, like I said, we definitely need that, especially like with the shirt that you have on now, the melanin versus diabetes. Can you kind of talk about that movement? And I'm sure that it's all incorporated together.
Yeah. So the major, I'm not going to say the major, because there's so many different discoveries came out of this little study. A decade seems like a long time when you're in the midst of it, but when you look back on it, it goes like this. You know what I'm saying? I'm 44, and them 10-year blocks, they go. But one of the craziest things that, that kind of just like blew it. So going into, before I even started the fast, and the fast kind of started by accident, but early on, I realized that the fast gave me an opportunity that most people with my mind would never have gotten. You know what I'm saying? Because I already had a certain type of scientific curiosity since I was a kid. So I realized when the 40-day fast started out of me, just being like a fat boy at heart. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm the type of person that I'll give you a quick, example. You know what I mean? I put on there was a 6-week period where I gained like 40 pounds. You know what I'm saying? Like, so just to give an example, like I'm in my mind, you know what I'm saying? I have to really be disciplined, because I can get crazy. You know what I'm saying? Let me show you an example. I'll show you an example of me as oh shucks, where you disappeared? Okay, there you go. Bam. Okay, it says you got to open up the share screen or something.
Okay.
It says share screen is disabled. No. You sharing your screen.
Oh.
I need you to enable it so I can share my screen.
Got it. Hold on. How do I do that? Wait, still doing mine? You can tell I'm not too tech savvy, so don't judge me. Multiple participants can share. I don't see where let me let you share it. I don't see where I can enable it. Hold on.
Click the arrow next to the share screen and select advanced sharing options.
Okay.
And then under who can share, select all participants.
Oh, it doesn't give me the option for that. Second content from second camera.
You don't see like the little arrow next to the share?
Yeah, I see that. And then I went to advanced, but on advanced, it just says PowerPoint, portion of screen, computer auto, video, and then it said content from second camera.
Okay.
So then see, keep doing that.
Yeah. Oh, it's working now. Whatever you did, stop. You found it.
Okay. There we go.
Amen.
Okay.
So I just wanted to show my propensity to become a fat boy very rapidly. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, and then that fast helps you to lose that weight. You said 40-day fast?
Not even fasting, just just these core slick little cheat codes.
Hmm. No.
Okay, yeah. So so like I was saying, I had these curiosities and I realized early on that, the fast gave me an opportunity, that a unique opportunity. So I didn't waste it, and I wanted to find out why was it that, like I had heard growing up, that, Africans had dominant genes and Europeans had recessive genes. And, with things like that, I was trying to figure out scientifically, if those were facts, like why would we be at an increased risk factor, a 200% increased risk factor for metabolic disease and type 2 diabetes? Why would we have a shorter lifespan? Like that just didn't make sense in my mind for people with dominant genes to have a shorter lifespan.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to kind of figure some of this stuff out, you know what I'm saying? And luckily I had a lot of folks trust us enough to participate from all over the world. And that's when I really realized the unique opportunity, because the very first time that we did it, we had folks, it was just supposed to be like the 2 or 3 of us doing it, you know what I'm saying? But then it kind of got crazy, and it was like the whole, Chicago got behind it, because we had a church out there that kind of helped us spread the word, and the whole like holistic, naturopathic, vegan community, like the plant-based community out there. Then Columbus, Ohio got involved, and Philly got involved, and New York got involved. And my homeboy's wife had a church group of women from Africa, and they took it back to Africa. And then so now we got folks in Africa, and then we start talking about it online. I had folks start to join in over the years from up to now, like every single continent, from Ireland to Germany, France, to all over the UK, Europe, Brazil, Canada, almost like literally every continent, like I said, except I'm not sure if we had anybody from Antarctica yet, you know what I'm saying? But based on the popularity, if there are some folks on Antarctica, I'm sure that they might have been touched by what we were doing. And so that gave me some, like I said, an extreme, just an extreme, from kids to old folks, white folks, yellow folks, red folks, brown folks, black folks, purple folks, people with you know, fat folks, skinny folks, muscular folks, people with cancer, diabetes, AIDS, lupus, you know, street athletes, calisthenics athletes, NFL players, NBA players. Like I had the ability to see how this thing works with so many different people and just collate those studies. And some of the things that came out of that were game changers were that, you know, insulin was not the master regulator in the body of glucose metabolism, right? Mm-hmm. And that your melanin hormones were actually in control of glucose metabolism. You know, primarily melanin concentrating hormone regulates, you know, insulin and all of the insulin, you know, subsequent behavior patterns. So once I started to look at that, the melanin hormones, then I started to look at melanin itself in regard to diabetes, right? Because it makes sense anyway. You know, you got to figure pretty much the only thing different from Black folks and white folks or any other group is, you know, the melanin, you know what I'm saying? So if we have a 200% risk factor for a thing, it stands to reason that we probably should have started our detective work a long time ago, right there in that area. You know what I'm saying? And so once I pinpointed that, you know, melanin concentrating hormone and then as a counterbalance, melanin stimulating hormone were at the center of diabetes neurochemistry, then I started to look at the body's pigment system as a whole, extending beyond, you know, melanin concentrating hormone and melanin stimulating hormone to melanin or eumelanin, pheomelanin, neuromelanin, and then beyond that to, you know, hemoglobin, myoglobin, cytoglobin, neuroglobin, you know, the opsin family, you know, particularly melanopsin and iodopsin. And those are all different pigments. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times we get hung up and we think that melanin is the only pigment, you know what I'm saying? Or that, you know, and that was a thing too, you know, just, you know, providing, and I'm still, you know what I'm saying, encountering people that like, don't understand that your body has like a huge wide range of pigments. But then also that melanin is not just a Black thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, because white folks have melanin, they have melanocytes, they have neuromelanin. You know, like this is a human condition that we have to deal with. And because science has kind of ignored pigment for whatever the reason over the years, you know, there's a lot of things that there's a lot of growth. There's a lot of potential for growth in terms of what we need to do as a people to really change our health. And that starts with, you know, just educating ourselves on, you know, how our body works and this new concept of having a pigment system. What does that mean for us day to day? You know, because it's a new concept. There's no working framework of a pigment system before I introduced it to the world. Like, you don't have that anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Even if you know, go back to some of our previous geniuses, T. Owens Moore, Carol Barnes, Richard, and some of those folks, you know, it's a long, you might need some herbs for your, I think your camera has Tourette's syndrome over there.
No, I'm trying to fix it.
Your camera got Tourette's. Your camera got Tourette's over there. But, you know, but there was no working, there's no working paradigm for everyday health in terms of a pigment system, how our pigment system interacts with the rest of our body systems, how we're supposed to eat or any of those things. So just, there's a lot of work to be done, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm not going to hold you too long. I do have one last question for you. Being that this is your second time, the last interview that we did got a lot of views and a lot of support and a lot of, questions, and people like, that was my first time meeting you or even really, hearing about you. So I learned a lot. And then a lot of people had questions as far as, so the doctor, a lot of this knowledge, was it self-obtained, or did you actually go, are you actually a real doctor, or is that just, how did that come about?
Well, people know my story, what happened, how I got into healing with my daughter and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But as I started to interact with more people and saw that it was more than just, like, I guess, a hobby of mine, as I was taking it more serious, I began to go get various certifications and there was a point where, shout out to my bro, Ben, he was like, man, you might as well just go back to school. You know what I'm saying? So eventually I went to school to become a certified naturopathic doctor. So yeah, I'm definitely a certified personal trainer, certified sports nutritionist, certified master herbalist, certified elite calisthenics specialist, and also a certified naturopathic doctor.
Well, there you have it, y'all. There you have it. Again, I do appreciate you. Definitely let the people know exactly how they can follow you again. Be sure to check them out on Patreon. The 6-week masterclass just started. You still have time. Do we still have time to get in the 6 week? Okay.
Of course.
Yeah, you still have time to get into it.
Class, but there's also, like I said, there's literally more, there's beyond those classes, like this, like 15 years worth of videos, articles, and books to tap into and pull from, unlimited consultations, the 40-day fast. People want to do it. People can kind of, wing through it at home on their own, but it's more, it's more beneficial to participate. And, the membership, the money that people spend, you know what I'm saying, that goes to us being able to do things like this summit, and work with local government officials and, school systems and churches. Like I said, what we're doing is not the same as other folks. This is no disrespect to anybody else that's in a naturopathic or herbal or holistic space, you know what I'm saying? But you graduate, it's levels to it, you know what I'm saying? So I spent my time doing lectures and trying to sell a product like this. That doesn't put a global dent in disease. That doesn't put a global dent in, the death numbers. Right now, we're going extinct, and people are, people spend more money on soda than they do on their own genetic research. So that's one of the things that I'm putting in people's face that's kind of making people uncomfortable. Like, bruh, if you spent more money on backwoods and Dutch masters and blunt wraps than you have on melanin research, then that's the reason why we are where we are. Don't ask how the kids is doing the drill and the guns and the shootings and all that. How much money have you put up to solve these problems? Not endless, baseless, social media posts. Well, oh, the kids and the shooting and the guns. Okay, but how much money have you put out of your pocket for this research to be done so we can understand the biochemistry and the neurochemistry behind this? Because if we're not talking science, we're not really having a real conversation. And like I said, we are going extinct. Men have penis implants right now because they're losing their ability for their penis to function. Women have lost their ability for their vaginas to function, a while ago, to the point where now we're doing IVF babies, babies from a jar. There's a nationwide breast formula shortage, which highlights the fact that our women are losing the ability to produce breast milk. So not only are we losing the ability to make babies, we're losing the ability to properly nurture these babies once we make them. Right. And when you have babies, it goes further. because this is where we get to the music and the behavior we see outside. And people don't link the two together, so they don't know how to direct that energy. They're like, yeah, but we can't even think about the food and the diet because we got guns and we got the babies. Whoa. Your behavior and the way you socialize is based on your biochemistry and your neurochemistry. So what we need to understand is what is happening inside the minds of our babies, what's happening inside the minds of our children, which starts with breastfeeding. See, we don't have, if your child is not properly nurtured, their brain never, ever fully develops, ever. And because we can't see a person's brain when we meet them, you can't see a brain. You don't understand that this person may have portions of their brain that have never developed. So they can't get to a certain level of maturity and understanding without actual work in that space. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things that we need to do. And like I said, if you got more money in your closet on shoes than you put into this kind of research or this kind of work, that you're the problem. It's not somebody else, it's you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to ask yourself, how much money have I personally put into this type of research? If the answer is 0, then you're the problem. If the answer is less than you put into your sneakers, you're the problem. If the answer is less than you put into Newports, soda, blunt wraps, cereal, I could just run down the line of frivolous things that we don't need. And listen, I'm from 158th Street in the Bronx, so I'm with the shits, I get it, but it's about priority. So I may also engage in all of or most of those things, but I'm also putting the time and the money into understanding the epigenetic effects of how I live and what I'm passing down to my children.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's goofballs out there that want to promote generational wealth and build platforms around generational wealth and teach stock and bond investment. That's not generational wealth. That's a mass delusion. You're not learning generational wealth by learning how to invest in stocks and bonds, because the only people that are actually getting generational wealth based on you investing in and out of stocks and bonds is the actual stockholders and owners of those companies. And when I say stock owners and holders, I don't mean you getting in there buying a dividend of a split of a split of a split. I'm talking about major, 40, 50, 60%, like those are the people that make the decisions. Those are the people that pass down that wealth that's generated to their children. The only real genetic or generational wealth that we can pass to our children is in our genetics. Right. It don't matter if you pass your children $1 billion, if you pass them a penis that can't work and a vagina that can't work and breasts that don't produce milk and a brain that can't develop.
Right. I don't mean to cut you off because the thing is about to go off in like 1 minute and 45 seconds. But we can talk about this all day. You make a really good point. And you definitely have dropped a lot of jewels today. And again, you guys be sure to follow him and check out the masterclass, check out the summit, check out everything that this brother is doing. He's definitely doing the work. Again, thank you. I appreciate you so much. Any last words that you want to give the people before we go?
Not only are we going extinct because we're losing the ability for our penis, our vagina, and our breasts to work, but because we have brains that aren't developed, we are now aborting more babies than we are having. And again, that's because we ain't putting our money where our mouth is.
Right. All right, well, peace, y'all. This has been another great episode, another real talk with a quality person who definitely has quality. My bad. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a wonderful day. Enjoy y'all Sunday. Peace.
Hello, sir. I'm Detective Avery. This is Detective Barnes. Sorry to disturb you so late in the hour. Do you know a Constance Wells?
Yeah, she helped me get back to school. Why?
You sure that's all she does for you?
Several days ago, we found Miss Wells. passed out in her room after taking some pills. We found this pill bottle in her possession. It has your name on it. We're just wondering, how did she get it?
What's going on?
Go back inside, baby. It's okay. Let's go back inside.
So do you mind coming with us down to the police station? This actually isn't the only bottle we found with your name on it. She has several stashed in empty drawers. Just want to ask you a few questions.
Am I under arrest?
You could be, if you don't come with us.
No, but we could come back with a search warrant.